Good morning, students. Today we are starting new chapter, microbes in human welfare. First, we should know what are microbes, in which kingdom these microbes they have been placed, and later on we should know what are the uses of microbes to the human beings. So, microbes, these are the organisms which are very small in size, which we can't see through our naked eyes. So these are microscopic organisms. These are microscopic organisms which play major components of biological system on earth. So microorganisms, they are microscopic. As they are microscopic, they are major components of biological system on the earth. We are thinking that our population is more, number of plants are more, number of animals are more. But if we take these microbes, so these microbes, their diversity, microbes diversity is more than other type of the organisms or other type of the living organisms. Now these microorganisms, as they are very small, as they are single celled, so these have been placed in kingdom Monera and Protista. They have been placed in kingdom Monera and kingdom Protista. And these microorganisms, these are present everywhere. These are present everywhere. Where they are present? They are present in soil. They are present in water, they are present in air. Along with these, they are present inside our body. They are present inside our body, and they are present in plant and other animals' body. They are present in plant and animals' body. As they are present everywhere, again, as they are present everywhere in soil, water, air, inside our body and other plants and animals, they are also present where there is no presence of life. Where there is no presence of life, or where there is no existence of life. Other life forms, they are not present. In that region also there is a presence of these microorganisms. So they are also present where no other life forms exist. Wherever there is no presence of other life form, there is presence of these microbes. That means where they may be present. They are present in thermal vents. They are present in thermal vents. What are thermal vents? Where the temperature is more than 100 degrees centigrade. The region where there is a presence of more than 100 degrees centigrade. So these are called as thermal vents. So 100 degrees centigrade, no chance of existence of life. Then also microorganisms, they are present in thermal vents. They are present deep into the soil. We are getting oxygen only in the upper layer of soil. Deep into the soil, there is no possibility of living creature. But these microorganisms, they are present deep into the soil. As well as they are present under the layer of snow. Thick layer of snow is there. So below that thick layer of snow, there is existence of microorganisms. And these microorganisms, they are also present where there is a presence of high acidic environment. Where there is a presence of high acidic environment. That means these microorganisms, they are present everywhere, as well as these are present where there is no presence of other forms of life. Now, what are these microorganisms? As they are single celled, as they are microscopic, they may be protozoans, they may be bacteria, they may be fungi, or they may be microscopic plants and animal viruses. So viruses, protozoa, bacteria, fungi, plant and animal viruses, along with these viroids and prions. So these are called microbes. You are known about these protozoa, bacteria, fungi, viruses. What are viroids? What are prions? Viroids, only the genetic material. So here virus means here there is a presence of protein code. There may be presence of genetic material, either DNA or RNA. These are called as viruses. But only if there is presence of genetic material RNA, these RNA they are causing diseases. If only RNAs are present, these are called as the viroids. And prions, only proteinaceous material, only protein which is responsible for causing diseases, these are called as the prions. So viroids and prions, they are also considered as the microbes. Now these organisms, as they are unable to see through our naked eyes, we can easily observe these microbes under microscope. We can easily observe under microscopes. And these microorganisms, if we are providing nourishment, if we are giving nutrient media, so these microorganisms, they grow on the nutrient media and they form colonies. They form colonies. If there is presence of the petri dish, in this petri dish, if we are adding the nutrient media, and if we are placing any microorganism, or just when we are exposing to the environment, second day there is growth of the microorganism. How they are growing? They are growing in colonies, and these colonies, they are useful to see the growth, as well as these are useful for study. That means we are providing nutrients to the microorganisms. We are providing nutrition to the microorganism. We are making them to grow on that. When they are growing in colonies, we can easily observe those microbes. And these microorganisms, they are used for their studies. That means what is the character, how there is a presence of the protein code, what is the genetic material, how they are going for number of metabolic reactions. Every study it is done by growing these microorganisms in laboratory by providing nutrients. In human health and disease chapter, so chapter number 8, human health and diseases, we have studied number of microorganisms they are able to cause the disease. That means what it shows? It shows that microorganisms are harmful, but all microorganisms, they are not harmful. Some of the microorganisms, they are useful. So all microorganisms, they are unable to cause diseases, but some of the microorganisms are there. So these microorganisms, they are considered as useful microorganisms. Why they are called as useful microorganisms? Because they are able to produce certain products which are beneficial to human being as well as which are helpful to other animals. That's why when we are differentiating these microbes, useful microorganism and harmful microorganism. Harmful, they are able to cause diseases to animals, plants, human beings. As they are causing diseases, we are calling these as harmful microorganisms. But some microorganisms, they are producing number of products which are beneficial to human beings. That's why these are considered as useful microorganisms. So in this chapter, microbes in human welfare, we are studying about number of useful microorganisms which are able to produce number of products which are beneficial for human beings. So what are the number of microorganisms and which products we are getting from these microorganisms, we are studying in detail. So first products which we are getting from the microorganism, these are considered as household products. These are considered as household products. That means microorganisms we are using to produce number of food products. That's why these are called household products. Now take the simple example. As in our home we are preparing the curd. From where we are getting the curd? We are getting curd from the milk. So what we are doing? So in milk we are adding small amount of curd. So in that small amount of curd, what is present? In that small amount of curd, there is presence of millions of either lactobacillus bacteria, or there may be presence of LAB. There is presence of LAB, that is lactic acid bacteria. There is presence of lactic acid bacteria. That means lactic acid bacteria or lactobacillus, they are responsible for converting milk into curd. They are converting milk into curd. So this lactobacillus and lactic acid bacteria, they are present in curd. In milk, we are adding small amount of curd, which we are calling it as inoculum, or we are calling it as a starter. So when we are adding small amount, it acts as the starter. In that starter, millions of lactic acid bacteria are present. So these lactic acid bacteria, they are converting lactose into lactic acid. They are converting lactose into lactic acid, and small amount of proteins, they are digested by these bacteria, and they help in converting milk into curd. Now curd, as it is formed with the help of these bacteria, along with that, they are responsible for increasing nutritive value of curd. They are increasing nutritive value of curd. Take the example. In milk, there is no presence of vitamins, but as these lactobacillus or lactic acid bacteria, they are growing in milk to convert that milk into curd. During that, there is increase in concentration of vitamin 12. That is vitamin concentration. It is produced, or vitamins are present in curd, and this vitamin, it is formed because of number of metabolic reactions performed by lactic acid bacteria or lactobacillus. Now when we are eating the curd, so that curd, it is having these lactic acid bacteria. It is increasing nutritive value of the curd. It increases vitamin 12 concentration. Along with this, as this bacteria enters in our body, that is when it enters in our digestive system, it is responsible for inhibiting growth of the disease causing agents present in our body. That means these are responsible for avoiding pathogens growth in our body. That's why curd is having importance in our food. Next, take the example, as we are preparing dosa and idli. So as dosa and idlis are prepared, there is a presence of important role of microorganisms. There is presence of importance of microorganisms. So before preparation of dosa and idli, we are preparing the dough, that is whatever the flour is there, we are adding water and we are keeping that for one night. So during that process, microorganisms, they go for fermentation of dough. And next day we are preparing the dosa and idli. So fermentation of dough, it is performed by the microorganisms present in that dough. In the same manner, if we take the example of number of bakery products, so bakery products we are producing from wheat flour, that is we are adding water and we are making it dough. So in that dough we are adding small amount of microorganisms which we are calling it as baker's yeast, that is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. That yeast, it is fermenting the dough and it is responsible for converting that dough into bread. So what is the end product? As fermentation occurs, carbohydrates which are present or sugars which are present in the dough, these are converted into simple form and there is a release of carbon dioxide. as there is a release of carbon dioxide occurs, though it increases in size and our bread it becomes porous. It becomes porous. So these pores they are formed when there is a release of carbon dioxide due to metabolic reaction by baker's yeast. So curd, dosa and idli, bread preparation, all these are the household products. Along with these, if we are taking the example of the traditional drink which is produced from palm plants, that is toddy. So this toddy, it is also a fermented product from the plant called as palm. So there also microorganisms they are playing important role. These are responsible for fermenting and it is acting as the traditional drink called as toddy. And along with these, fermented fishes, fermentation of soybean, fermentation of bamboo shoots which are used to make different foods, all these are the products of microorganisms. So whatever the food which we are preparing from bamboo shoot, soybean, fish, all these are the fermented products, and this fermentation it is performed by the microorganisms. Fermentation it is performed by the microorganisms. Now take the example of the cheese or yogurt. So yogurt, cheese, they are prepared from milk, and this cheese preparation it is also done with the help of microorganisms. Now to make the cheese, what we have to do? We are using number of microorganisms. For what purpose? We are using microorganism to increase the texture, flavor and taste of the cheese. So cheese preparation it is done with the help of milk. Along with milk, there is use of microorganism. For what purpose we are using microorganism? To increase the texture, to increase the flavor, to increase the taste of the cheese, we are using a number of microorganisms. We are using number of microorganisms. Now take the example of Swiss cheese. Now this Swiss cheese, it is prepared by using the bacteria called as Propionibacterium shermani. Which bacteria? Propionibacterium shermani. Now what is the special character of this Propionibacterium shermani? It is responsible for increasing size, pore size of the cheese. It is responsible for increasing pore size of the cheese. Now how this pore size increases? Because this Propionibacterium shermani, it is responsible for releasing more and more amount of carbon dioxide. As more and more amount of carbon dioxide it is released, that cheese it will become porous. That cheese it will become porous, and more porous cheese it is having a good flavor, it is having a good texture. That means this Swiss cheese it is famous because of presence of more pores, and it is occurring because of release of carbon dioxide by Propionibacter shermani. Again, to increase the flavor of the cheese, one more, that is Roquefort cheese. So this cheese it is prepared by using the microorganism called as fungi. So one of the fungi it is used to produce the Roquefort cheese. Now why there is need of using fungi? So this fungi, when it is growing on that cheese, it is responsible for giving a particular flavor to that cheese. And this Roquefort cheese, it is famous only for its flavor. Only for its flavor. So that flavor we are getting only by use of the fungi. Only by use of the fungi. Clear? So number of household products: curd, dosa, idli, bread, toddy, that is one of the traditional drink, fermented fish, soybean, bamboo shoots, cheese, all these are the number of products which we are getting by use of the microorganisms. Clear?